Hello everybody and hi, my name is Kieran and here's a video that I thought of last night or 2 nights ago and I think it could actually be pretty fun. So let me set the scene for you. I have a 4 terabyte external hard drive for all of my YouTube stuff because I like having a bunch of things on call if I need them, you know, just in case, because you never know. And I live in perpetual fear. And I've been doing YouTube for over a year, so suffice to say, there's a lot on there. I've deleted some videos and stuff from it, but well, look at this. I have 210 gigabytes left of a 4 terabyte hard drive. So I feel like it's time to purge some things. And I'm not very good at this. I'm a very sentimental person. I find it really difficult to get rid of things or even just move them to places where I know I won't see them as much. But I think it's about time that I start cleaning out this thing. And one of the easiest things to remove, either deleting it or just moving it somewhere else for special keepsies, is thumbnails. I have made, since I started YouTube, somewhere between 400 and 500 YouTube thumbnails. Closer to 500, I think, now. Actually, I can check on my channel if I just look. How many videos have I made? Because that's how many thumbnails I've had to make. Oh my gosh, we actually crossed that threshold. 503. I've made 503 videos on YouTube since I started in March 10th. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting. I started my channel on Mario. I don't think I ever realized that. That's just a happy little coincidence. I thought that was fun. 503 YouTube thumbnails. Not all of them are on here because I had the little hard drive back in August of last year, but most of them are on my current hard drive. Most of these 500 are right here. This is my hub of YouTube thumbnails. The assets, the faces, and all the different categories and series that I have still saved. They're all right here. They're all my babies. Even the end card stand-in back when I still had a full beard and my end card was lost with the rest of my hard drive. I thought it might be fun, and you'll tell me obviously. I thought it'd be cool if we went through all of my thumbnails that I've made over the year and just go through and see. Maybe we'll rate them. We'll just see what it's like. Well, how are they looking? How are we feeling about them? And just give ourselves one last little look through memory lane. Maybe explain some of my favorite thumbnails and what it took to make them. I don't know. Just have fun with it, my guy. Gorsh. So let me give you the tour first. So these are all my faces. I recently organized them into categories of my friends' faces. So there's Ashley and Aaron and all of Lainey. This is back when I had my full beard. These are all those pictures. You might recognize a few of them. I used a lot of the same ones over and over again. My clean shavens for back in that little period of time where I was clean shaven for Movember. I ended up taking a lot of photos because I realized I don't have a beard anymore. I can't put my beard in the thumbnail. It doesn't exist. That's lying. And I don't lie. I have body parts for my bits and giblets. And I got my sword poses. This is mainly just for chivalry, but it's also cool to have a few more. Battery low. Heathenous. Sacrilege. It was surprisingly fun to just pose with my sword. I know I'm an absolute sword nerd, and it's probably why I'm single, but I absolutely love it. I thought that was super fun to do. And then, of course, my mutton chops, which now that I'm looking at it, holy crap, I've taken a lot of them with my mutton chops. I cut all of them out by hand because I don't have a green screen. And I cut them out every single time that I need to use them in a new thumbnail. Now you may be thinking, Kieran, wouldn't it be just easier to get a green screen and then just key yourself out? Yes, it would be, but I'm too poor to afford a green screen. And then you may be thinking again, Kieran, you buffoon. You absolute idiot! Why not just cut them out once and then save them as a PNG with a transparent background so then you'd never have to cut them out a second time? Well, to that I say, I am lazy. And it's also kind of therapeutic to cut the pictures out, so I kind of enjoy it. But lazy! So yeah, if you see a ton of pictures of me in a video, just know, I worked hard for that thumbnail, so you better appreciate it. I would say, on average, a thumbnail probably takes me a half hour to make. In that ballpark. Some thumbnails I've finished in like as little as like 10 minutes if it's super simple. Some thumbnails I've spent an hour or more on just getting all the colors right and finding all the assets that I want for the picture that I got in my head. You know, it's whatever. It takes as long as it needs to. And it's honestly, it's one of my favorite things to do is to sit down and just sort of create a nice little thumbnail. It just tickles that creative spark in me. I just find it super fun. It's really rewarding, and I really like adding those finer details, you know? I find a lot of joy and reward in that, and like when you have a series, it's good to make them all sort of similar in a way. So I love finding like themes and stuff to repeat throughout a series. I don't know. It's just I just love it. It's just fun. It's really fun for me. I quite enjoy it. Gosh, where do we start? Oh yeah, my assets. These are all the assets that I've used in any thumbnail ever, and also just as visuals for videos. This is everything. This is everything. It's unfortunate because I really can't... Oh, Tony pedophile. I heard he was a pedophile. I'm pretty sure it's true. I can't delete any of this because it's stuff that I do tend to use regularly. Not all of it. Some of it's just one-offs that I probably could delete, but look at Baby Piglet. Are you gonna delete Baby Piglet? Are you gonna kill Baby Piglet? That's pretty uncool, my bro. This is also where I put GIFs if I need them. Like this young man's. Look at him go. Look at him go. Look at that sweet little American man's. All right, well, might as well start at the one-offs. They're the thickest bunch of lads that we've got. I guess I'll just go through some pictures and I'll show you guys any that I want to talk about. I mean, a lot of them are pretty basic, you know. Like there are certain formats that work with YouTube thumbnails. It's good to have your face in them. There's mustache hair in mine. It's good to have your face in them because it's kind of... It makes the thumbnail seem more approachable, but sometimes I feel like the games don't call for that. Sometimes it feels like a game requires more reverence than that. Like this one, A Vivid Life. I decided not to put my face in this quite deliberately and just have it be, you know, sort of a more highly contrasted image of the protagonist's face, because that's a very serious game about mental illness. And if I were to put just one of these silly faces in there, it would seem kind of disrespectful to that message, you know? So I try to make sure that the thumbnail is indicative of the mood of the games that I play, you know? Like, I think Markiplier had once said back on the Eunice Anus channel that a good thumbnail should tell you everything you need to know about the video. Essentially, it should tell you the story of the video. So anything that involves guns, I usually just have me looking angry with a gun shooting another me who maybe looks a little evil. Also, I couldn't figure out why, but yeah, I forgot I made my mouth bigger for that. It looks only just a bit too big to be unsettling. That's pretty good, except I made a mistake by not actually putting them all the way to the bottom. Like an idiot! But yeah, A Day in the Office was a game all about like manipulating time, so I made myself like the time lord of everything. One of my favorite memes is probably the Elmo standing in front of like the wall of fire, and I like to emulate that kind of energy because it just makes everything seem so chaotic and ridiculous. I don't know, I find that so funny just to have the wall of fire behind whatever I'm doing. I really like that. And yeah, and like Night at Andy's, I had the clown here and like, oh, there's dice to roll. And I'm like, oh, no, don't shoot me, please, sir. And then there's just an empty space up here, so I decided to put blood. This isn't my favorite thumbnail. It's not the best that I've done. I can do better. I can do much better. See, you can see, hopefully, in a lot of these games... Oh, yeah, and I have some Among Us thumbnails in my one-offs, which is an organizational nightmare. So hopefully you can see, looking at my thumbnails, like, looking at them, you can kind of get some kind of understanding of what the game is about. And sometimes if I really have no ideas how to do it in an abstract way, I just go, like, hyper-literal, like, comically literal. Like, for Cage Face. Put a cage on my face, and I put like a blurred out train in the background because it was on a subway in that game. Cage Face Subway. And then sometimes I feel like I go a bit too abstract, maybe. Like, because this one, once you've seen the game, hold on, which game was this? Brain Bug, that's right. Once you've actually watched the video, this thumbnail makes more sense. But if you just look at it, it's like, so he plays as like a murderous TV or something, or like this game's like maybe violent or like maybe a murder mystery. So this thumbnail's maybe a bit misleading in a way, but at the same time, it does represent the game, but not to a viewer who hasn't seen it yet. There's definitely something that I could have done better there. Though however, I don't want to just bag on myself, because I think I also Beneath your feet. I laughed so hard when I made that thumbnail. It's so stupid, but I love it. Oh, I'm spitting. Oh, goodness gracious. No, beneath your feet. It's just... No, under your foot, under your feet. I like to have really funny, jokey thumbnails too. And oftentimes, if I'm not super pumped about the game, or the game doesn't have any distinctive features to it, I will just make jokey thumbnails like that, just... 'cause what else am I gonna put in it? Ooh, and this one was good too. Angerfoot. I like violence, and I'm not gonna elaborate on that. I like violent pictures and images. Not like real life violent, but like hand-drawn and fantasy violence. I don't know, something about it, it just hits me. It hits me in that good. So you'll see in a lot of my videos, especially my Among Us ones, holy crap. A lot of my videos, you see, I try to incorporate some violence whenever I can. Like in this one with me kicking my own teeth out and just a like anime spurt of blood. I was very excited when I made that. I don't know why, man. Violence just does it for me. And again, with the armless Cairo, I was able to like have like, I've never done like limb amputation in my thumbnails. So I was actually really excited to be able to do something with that. And then I just like put a little screen cap of the game in the background with kind of the key aspects. I still want to play that game. I really want to play that game in its completion. Oftentimes I'll have to cut out sprites myself, but for something like this, like April Fall of Faith, I just found this transparent PNG. And I've become such a connoisseur of websites that give you transparent background images. Because there's some of them where like they aren't actually transparent, they're just something with like that checkered background, or they'll just be white so you download it and it's not a usable image. I used to not do anything with transparent backgrounds initially in my assets. I would just be looking up pictures of whatever, like a ball, and then I would hand cut it out. And usually they would look pretty bad as far as the quality of the shaping of it all. Just because I'm just but a simple boy. I'm hardly a drawn artist. As soon as I started looking up transparent PNGs, that's all I use now. If I can't find it transparent, I just don't use it because it's just so much effort for something that doesn't look great, you know? And I know that am I a little low for you? And I know I'm talking about this as almost like a informational seminar on thumbnail making, which by all means, if you like anything that I say about, or like anything about my process, by all means, copy. Don't copy me style. Don't copy my style. That's rude. Take inspiration from my teachings. Go, my children. Teach the world how to make good thumbnails, because nothing irks me like a bad thumbnail. Which, now that I think of it, might actually be one of the reasons I take a lot of care and pride in my thumbnails. I think if I were to pat myself on the back for one thing on my YouTube channel, I think thumbnails are a specialty for me. I think I do thumbnails really well. I think my thumbnails are consistent. I think they're high quality. I like my thumbnails. I think I'm very good at making thumbnails. One technique, and actually it's interesting to look at it from Boo Done It to Chainsaw Dance. I came at these both with the same idea of representing it visually. I came at these from the same angle. So for Boo Done It, you know, very slow and sentimental game about death. And what I wanted to do, and what I don't think I fully captured here, again, and this is another big thing with thumbnails, is you have to remember how small they're gonna be when people actually see them, you know? So like this, I think, is much better as far as just being able to discern what's happening. But basically this is just me having a base lay of the girl crying and the ghost sitting beside her, which was from the video. I took like the icon that I downloaded off the internet, like the actual game artwork, and then a picture of the ghost sitting on the bench. I was trying to sort of capture that feeling of sort of sentiment and like the happiness is kind of faded away, that kind of idea, and trying to articulate sort of the deeper emotions that were going to be experienced in the game. I don't think I did it quite as well. I think what would have been better maybe in retrospect would have been to just have girl crying and ghost sitting beside her, and maybe just try to make it a more high contrast image and like try to sharpen it and just really put the focal point on the two of them, because that is what the game is about at the end of it. I think I was trying to go too abstract and philosophical with that in there, which is maybe one of the reasons I don't feel like that thumbnail really worked for that game. But I think I'm starting to get the hang of that technique though, because if I go to Chainsaw Dance, and this was, I mean, just a better setup for it anyway, because it's about dancing. So I have different, oh my gosh. Did I leave that in the, oh my gosh. I'm such an amateur. I left that whole, because these are all screenshots that I just like, you know, open the media player and pick and choose, and oh my gosh, how did I not notice that? That is a glaring issue. Disgusting. That aside, I think I did really good in this one, sort of conveying, because it kind of conveys like a bit of chaos. And I think it works having the central version of him having like an obviously struggling expression. So like he's working very hard, and then you see around him all the other things that he's having to do, which I think is good for conveying the chaos of the dancing that video was. By the way, that video immediately copyright claimed. Every song on there is copyright claimed. Just the life of a YouTuber, I guess. I'll have to just play games with only my own music in the future when I make good music. But no, I think this works because like the colors are all the same. I think that was the other problem with the Boo Done It, is there are too many differences in the shadings and the colors, and I don't think I balanced the images and their transparency to see through, because this is 5 different images layered on top of each other with varying levels of transparency, which is the reason that you can see them all at the same time. I think he's probably got the lowest level of transparency, but it looks like there is at least one layer on top of him. But these kind of collage thumbnails, I find them really good. They work really well when they're done well, and they just look messy when they're not done well. You know what I mean? No, I think this one though is a good thumbnail. If I just had a little more attention to detail. Coffee gets you there, actually. This one's an interesting one to talk about. Can I flip to, no, I can't flip to that one. All right, so coffee gets you there. It's about coffee, and you're trying not to get hit by cars, and you have to keep refueling on your bean juice. There's my larynx, no. Uvula, that's what that is. And I actually made 2 thumbnails for this because I couldn't decide between this one or this one, because this one was more marketable, but I felt at the time I felt like this one was more true to the game's form. But after some time looking back, I like this one better, because you can clearly see him like reaching down towards the guy's crotch while like whispering in his ear and sniffing his neck, and me just looking confused. I might actually retroactively change that, because I don't like that thumbnail. I think this thumbnail's better. Cold shot, I had another opportunity to get in with some gore. This is a common, this blood bit here, hold on, should I go to my assets? Actually, you know what, Kieran, you know what blood sample this is? Show it up now. So that's the blood sample that I used for that, and then I just, in the Affinity photo is what I use for all my photo editing, by the way. I just bend it to sort of like go with the curvature of my face, and then I found a little eyeball, and that's just generic gore background that I had, because like, you know, it's small enough you can't really see it for what it actually is. It just looks like, ooh, icky bo bicky. And this is actually a good thumbnail because it's me with a hammer, and actually I should have cut out that portion of the hammer to be behind my hair to make the depth perception work a little better. But it's done, and nobody looks as closely at thumbnails as I do, I think. This is the villain of the game, is the dude that you shoot, and his eye is hanging down from him, and part of his head is gone as he chases you with a hammer. So that was a really easy thumbnail to make, because I was like, oh, the concept's right there, I'll just shoot myself. More gore stuff. This one was a skeleton preset, and I just hand drew the blood on there. That's not the best example of that, though. There is one that's a lot cooler that I think I can show you. This one was interesting, clothing line and slice, because I did 2 videos in the same one. It's really hard, I think, it is for me at least, to make a thumbnail for more than one game, because then I'm trying to encapsulate 2 different storylines and 2 entirely different things. Like this one especially was difficult. I really set myself up on this one. One was about cutely just like, oh, I'll connect my clothing line to this person because it's their soulmate. And the other one was cutting a cell phone out of your own gut so that you can survive without dying, and you try not to bleed out or cut too deep. I think I did the best I could with this one. Just bright colory clothesline, just nice Bahamas beachy, just bright colors and stuff. And then I've been cutting the carotid, and actually if you look closely there, this is a blood sample, but this part is hand drawn, and just added some transparency. That's one thing that I've been getting into more, is to hand draw some blood, and it looks very cartoony at first over clothing, and then you give it some transparency, and then it looks a lot more realistic, and it looks more like actual blood. It looks more like actual blood from a wound. So a little tip there if you guys like the violence. I feel like I kind of improve in my artistic capabilities more and more each time. That's the goal, at least. Oh yeah, just bread. You're quizzing a sad piece of bread, and you decide if you want it to live or die. So he's scared, and I'm gonna eat him. Harm. When I got a bakery in the background. Anyway, sorry. As with like everything on my channel, you know, thumbnails, videos, editing, whatever it may be, I try to make everything I do better than what I did the day before. That kind of growth and improvement is really important to me. I don't ever want to stagnate or fall backwards. I think it's best if I can always be moving forward and always be doing more. This thumbnail, I freaking love this thumbnail. I absolutely love it. So this one, Covenant Blade, that's a very old video by now, but I killed it on the thumbnail because of all the contrast in it. The sort of dark void with the eyes in the background. The lightning looks just beautiful. And I think I added glow around it and the sword. I added glow around it. And the glow, I'm realizing in retrospect, it added, when I put that around the outside of the sword, it actually made it look like the lightning is kind of reflecting its light off of the blade itself, which is retroactively a very smart idea. Well done, Kieran. No, I think this one is so cool. And it's so sharp when you look at it from a distance. Like, look at that. That is so eye-catching. I absolutely nailed it on that one, I think. That one was beautiful. Death in Progress, just more of me be brutalized. This one was actually also fun because it finally gave me a reason to download a PNG of a knight's helmet. And then I got the idea that because the whole game in Deepest Sword is about, it's an analogy for penis. So I just had this, I made sure to have both my hands visible in the frame and then just the sword coming up. I'm a simple man. I have simple pleasures. Obviously. I'm very pleased right now. Some of my thumbnails I think are really funny and then nobody says anything and then I feel like, oh, wasted opportunity on your part. It's cool. It's, I just love it. This one, Dwayne Crashers. I'd put a lot of work into this because I had to hand cut out each and every one of the girls. Each and every one of the girls, and I posed new. This pose was specifically for Dwayne Crasher's thumbnail. This was exactly why I did this. So if you ever see this post in my thumbnails, Dwayne Crasher's is the reason it exists. But I think that one's just so sharp. All the bright colors, it's got my face in it. Dark background for contrast. Oh yeah, and dummy fight where I was trying to make peace with a guy and everybody's just stabbing me. This is also one of my favorite things to simulate. By the way, all I do to make things look like they're behind me is erase them. And you just trace the erasing from right back here. And then you add the little blood spit. Oh yeah, this is where I did more of the hand-drawn blood and then transparency to make the blood look a little more real. Because the blood PNGs that I have in my assets don't look real at all through clothing. They only look real on skin. So I do the hand-drawn stuff for clothing. Or I have cut assets where it looks like cut skin. So I'll like put that on the clothing so it looks like at least they cut through the clothing and that's where the blood's coming from. I think way too long and hard about all of this stuff. I apologize. I'm already on a watch list, so. C'est la vie, and one more FBI agent to the pile. Who even cares? Here's a thumbnail that I do regret not going harder on it. I don't know if I was just busy or having a bad day. Edgy is one of my favorite shooters that I've covered on the channel. I've played that game front to back like a dozen times since that video because it's just really fun and it's got the right balance of violence and realism. I don't know. I just love it. It's a lot of one-shot kills, and I love it. And I really wanted to encapsulate how much fun I was having playing it, and this thumbnail just does not do that. It's just dude with head blown, and the blood doesn't even look good. It needs to be darker. It's my great shame is this thumbnail. It's such an amazing game, and such an average at best thumbnail. Great game. You should watch my video on it if you haven't. I don't even know how old that is, but you should play the game if you haven't. It's really good. Oh yeah, I also, because of this game, I now have a naked streaker man in my assets folder. And no, I will not get rid of him. It's a bit heavy, this one, innit? The video quality is also probably a lot better on this phone. This phone is a much fancier phone than my usual phone for recording. That's basically all that goes into the thumbnails, is everything that I've said. Sometimes I make my face look weirder for jokes. 5 fancy mustachios. I gave myself a fancy mustachio and multiply myself by 5. Also, whenever I do the videos where everything goes wrong and everything feels stupid, it's like funny.exe has stopped working. Or I just have like a picture of my face just stretched out against the screen. Those should be good indications of the quality that you're about to be subjected to. Frick Inc. This is a fine thumbnail, I think. It's nothing special, of course, but man, what a great game. I want to go back to Frick Inc. Actually. It was really fun to play. I enjoyed it a lot. Maybe I will. Make it a series. Make it a series. 6 series on a movie. No, that was a great game. I might actually go back to that. I can't even see the X button now because my phone's so big. Oh yeah, my sister was very impressed by this one. Because the skateboard is a full skateboard PNG. And I just lined it up here and then cut out a gap for my fingers to look like they're coming over, even though there's just no skateboard there, and made it look like it's behind my head, even though it was in front of my head and I just erased this portion of it. And then I added blood, because blood is fun. I mean, that's probably all that I can say about the one-offs. Except this one. How We Know We're Alive is such a beautiful and sad story. It's probably one of my favorite games on the channel. If you haven't seen it yet, it's a bit long, but it's really worth watching. It is amazing. I feel like this one, I actually nailed it on presenting the feel of the game. This game benefited from having that more philosophical approach, and a lot of pixelated games do, because they don't have much that you can screenshot or emulate yourself in real life. So a lot of times with pixel games, I tend to have to go a little more abstract. But this one, it just works so perfectly, and that game is so beautifully shot. Like, I know I'm talking about it as if it were a movie, but I mean, it basically is. Just the illustrations that they chose are so perfect and beautiful, and like all I did for this was I just made it super vibrant. I kind of upped the saturation a little bit and heightened the contrast to make everything like look darker, and you get a little bit more detail from a distance, I feel, when you've gone through all that. But I mean, just look at that. From a distance, it looks even better. Just, gosh. That's probably one of, if not my all-time favorite thumbnail. Just because I feel like that thumbnail does a really good job of encapsulating the feel of the game. It's very somber. It's very much the kind of game that makes you just kind of look off into the distance and contemplate. Are you crooked again? My gosh, you thick chonkster. Well, now I've made you more crooked. Gosh dang it. I'm not supposed to practice with new cameras live. Oh yeah, that video came out recently. It was your fault, cause you. And yeah, and then I colored myself into that photo. I mean, you get it by this time. I hope you get it by now. I try to do my best to encapsulate the feels and try to sort of say a little bit about what's in the game. There's the collage idea again. I think I did all right in that one. It's better to use less than more with collage type stuff, because eventually it just gets very difficult to make it clean and make it understandable as to what's actually happening. So 3 pictures is a good starting. I wouldn't go more than 3 in most situations. That's about all that I can handle. More blood, more me being shot, high-fiving an octopus down in the ocean, more collage stuff, more me manipulating my face. I don't know, man. Prawn's cooking. I don't think I've ever had a more busy thumbnail than this. And I don't know if anybody's even noticed the me in the background, just watching over, keeping an eye on things, so that you know you're never alone. Me just about to smack dunk a prawn in the pan. By the way, if you haven't seen that, I think that's one of my more deranged, chaotic improv videos, because there's nothing to the game. Honestly, I don't mind it when there's nothing to the game, because it forces me to just sort of, it forces me to improv, and whenever I improv, it tends to get very ridiculous and eccentric and really aggressive, and usually somebody's cheated on me. Prawn's cooking. I haven't seen it in a while, but I imagine it still holds up. I had a lot of fun recording it, if nothing else. It was very fun video. Ooh, this is the one that I was talking about. This is one of my favorite thumbnails because of all, you know, the contrast are like type kind of, or sorry, Eunice Anus. I don't think I'm allowed to say those names anymore. I just placed a skull in front of my face and cut it out in a certain way and kind of matched it to my hair, and then hand drew the blood in around it, and I don't know, the pictures and everything, it just looks so nice. I just like looking at it. I think it works out. It works really good. That's one of my favorites. Oh, a slice of scythe. That one was actually a really fun one too. Had to cut all those guys out by hand also. Soft underbelly, way too subtle, I think, with the me and Squirtle. I contemplated putting me and Squirtle just in the computer screen there, or just having it be a picture of Squirtle, but I felt like the picture of Squirtle would be misleading a little bit as to the mood of the game, so I tried to make a compromise there. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. And look at the pop here. You know, 2 knives in the back, and he's going, oh, we're death. He's got 2 staples in the chest, 2 hand-drawn staples, another knife at the ready, 1 fire eye. Man's an anime master. And then here, because I couldn't turn the camera, except for stopping everything hitting a key, then turning, and then moving around. So I added a neck brace there to sort of signify that. It's so wild. Because of the speed, and I mean, things feel like they move faster when you make a new video every single day. It's so weird to think back on these thumbnails, and thinking back on videos sometimes when I look back through like just all the old videos that I've made, looking back when like that was the newest thing that I had created, you know? Like the Right Todd up here. Great thumbnail also, by the way. It's actually really funny. I remember making this thumbnail. And I remember when it was the newest thing that I had done. And the video itself, when I edited it, it was the newest thing that I had done. And now it's almost forgettably old. It feels that way, at least. Like almost forgettably old in the grand scheme of my channel and all the work that I've done for it. I don't know. It's an interesting feeling seeing like all the old thumbnails and videos, and it's just like, wow. You used to be new, and now you are exceptionally old. Oh my gosh. Okay, this will probably be the last one I show you before we move on to something else, but just... Is that the funniest thumbnail you've ever seen? I died so hard when I made that, because it's just, it's just so funny. And I sent it to my friend, and she started laughing too. It's just, oh man. We have fun here on the Kieran Schwartz channel. Yeah, that's all the one-offs. Oh yeah, I don't think... Okay, now this is the last one. I don't think I ever got any appreciation on this one. I think that's such a cool thumbnail. I think it's so ominous and creepy how it's like kind of void, but it's also like kind of droopy, like makeup almost, or like sludge. I don't know. I think this one just really encapsulates the feeling of unease. I love it. Okay, that's the longest portion of all this. The rest of these have like 5 in them, except for Doom. Doom has more than 5. Here's the try not to that I only did 1 of. I assumed that I was gonna do I assumed I was gonna do more try not tos, but they're not that fun to make. They're not creatively stimulating at all. Like the commentary that you're able to do on them, I feel like it's more limited in these kinds of like try not to do this, try not to do that. There are commentary channels, Cody Co, Drew Gooden, Danny Gonzalez. They're very, very good at what they do. Maybe it's worth coming back to, but it's just the nature of the try not to laugh specifically, which is video, you reacting to it, and then next video. It's just not fun to make. It's very limiting. There's just not much you can do with it, you know? And it takes a long time. That was a try not to cringe. I think I did a try not to laugh that was like 45 minutes of raw footage of me just looking at videos that weren't funny at all. And then it was like, the video came out to be like 10 or 15 minutes of like a highlights reel. And I'm like, this was not an enjoyable experience. I thought it would be more fun than it was. And it let me down. I tried not to laugh. Huh. Like, try not to cry. Try not to break my heart even. I miss my lips when I kiss there. Sorry. Yeah, try not to is surprisingly not fun to make. You'd think they'd be better, but they are not. Well, it's all fresh in our heads. The Sally faces. I think it's pretty obvious the theme that I went for right from the get-go with all this was just screenshots of the game of Sally. That's all that I wanted. There were some times where I got a little nervous about if I was going to be able to find a distinctive enough screenshot to show Sal in a different place than before. The thing with series is you don't want to have thumbnails that look exactly the same. They have to be distinguishable in some way. You want them to have some unity with them, which is, you know, common themes. It's a picture of Sal standing or walking, just sort of looking in a direction. I mean, it's a 2D side scroller, so it's not really much more than that. But also, I don't just want to have a picture of Sal. I have a picture of Sal as a kid, Sal in the dark void, Sal in the snow, Sal breaking free from the Gear Boy because the Gear Boy was a major part of that particular episode, Sal in a garden because we haven't really seen Sal outside, Sal in a place. You may think, oh, there's a garbage can there, but if you see the episode, you realize that's a very important screenshot from the game. And then I remember episode 7, I was like, man, there's no distinctive features here. And then Sal walks into the hand-drawn universe, and I think, all right. That works for me. Sal grows up. Sal runs because her friend may be dead. Sal playing guitar, and then Sal split. Actually, I do want to look at this more because this is a screenshot of Sal in the light area and in the dark area. And then I matched them up and cut them down the middle. And it only took me 1 try to match up their size this perfectly. I was so surprised and impressed with myself. Yeah, and then I just erased like the white side down the middle here and erase that, and then bada bing, bada boom. And I thought this was a really good thumbnail because I thought it was kind of represented a duality of philosophies that I think Sallyface kind of touched on a little bit, mostly just at the end here with the white room and the black room, but just sort of optimism and pessimism kind of coming up against each other. And I felt like it was kind of fitting to the end of the game. And of course, having Sal be this disfigured amalgamation of all his greater forms. I don't know, I thought it worked really well. And I actually really, I think this is my favorite thumbnail out of the Sallyface series. And I think my Sallyface series is probably my favorite series that I've done. It didn't outstay its welcome. I had the best jokes. The story was great, of course. The game was fun. Gold all around. Now, Sallyface. Oh yeah, I really hate these thumbnails. Because I did Raft on a stream with Lainey, and it was really fun. Lainey's also, by the way, great. You should go subscribe to her. I just dropped the ball on these thumbnails. I'm not gonna lie to you. They're kind of cool, but also like, the way I put Lainey in them is so lazy. It's so lazy. Like, you know, the thing about me being eaten by a shark, honestly, if I were to go back and redo these, I would have me being eaten by the shark be the entire thumbnail. Maybe have Lainey in the background, maybe not. Putting her in there on a head on a stick figure body, very funny as a concept, not very funny in execution, especially when the thumbnails are this big and you can't even see her or any of us clearly at all. My second one's better because my face is bigger and I'm eating the shark as revenge. And then, but Lainey's like, I made her face too busy with the scar and the sea man's beard, you know, just not great, these thumbnails. The key features of each of them, which I usually try to have like 3 key features, 3 main things that you want to be looking at in the thumbnail, which in this one would be shark, my face, Lainey. Those would be the main areas that you want to have the viewer paying attention to. And I just made us way too small in the thumbnails. That's probably my least favorite part of it, is we're just way too small. It's not eye-catching or anything, you know, there's nothing really special about it. So, I mean, yeah, bit of a drop the ball, but it's okay. Whoops, I didn't mean to close that entirely. So yeah, there was that one. There was the 2 episodes of Phasmophobia I did with Lainey, and then Never Again, even though I kind of wanted to, but we never did. And also, I do like the escalation that I had here, where it's me and Lainey kind of looking off, and then the ghost is behind us, and then we realize it's behind us, so we start shooting off big machine guns, and the ghost has like blood dripping from its eyes, and I added really grayed out pupils facing different directions. I don't know, I think that was fun. I think that was pretty cool. And also, I love the muzzle flashes on my thumbnails and stuff. I don't know. It's just pleasing to me. There's our Overcooked 2 series that I did with the Future College Dropouts. You know that channel that exists. But this was a great series of 1 episodes. That was actually where I met Aaron and Ashley. Me and Aaron actually talk a lot. We're pretty good friends. And this was Overcooked. We're best friends. And yeah, this is just another example of why it's great to have fire in the backgrounds of your thumbnails. Chaos. My Octodad one. I didn't really know what I wanted the theme to be when I started this series. Pretty funny series, actually. You should watch it. I didn't really know what I wanted my theme to be. Looking back, I think I did keep to a theme. It's not... No, actually, you know what? I think I killed it. I got the exact theme I wanted. I might have done it better because in the last 3, I had a very distinctive theme, which is Octodad facing right with some environmental factor changing in the thumbnail. Basically, I changed up the context around the template of Octodad's head. But I think I still kept it because, you know, shopping mart, I had me in the cart full of Octodad heads. Octodad's still in the background there. The only change that I might have made is facing it all the other way. Same with this one. Octodad's head is still one of the focal points. You know what? I came in here ready to reprimand myself lightly for not fleshing out a theme beforehand, but you know what? I killed it. My beautiful paper smile. I'm eagerly awaiting that series to come back. I just need to wait for the last chapter to come out. Can you tell it's the end of my recording day? I'm just waiting for the last chapter to come out. I mean, my theme here is obvious, just taking creepy pictures of the faces of different characters or creatures. Except this one. This one's just a picture of a cardboard dummy from the game, but the rest of them are real cool. And I think this is the episode where I actually faced off against that demon, probably for the 2nd time. I'll need to refresh myself on the lore once I actually go back into that game. It's a really good game. I don't know if my series is holding up at all because it's spread over such a long time. I even played the demo. It was one of like the first horror-y things that I did on my channel. Goodness gracious. I know that Doom is like the most episodes in a series, but My Beautiful Paper Smile covers the most ground in the history of my channel so far. These are all great thumbnails. Got no qualms with them. Minecraft, SMP. I called it the simp. They're all good, jolly. In this one, I cuss. Oh yeah, because that's the one where I didn't realize that a word that I used was not good. And then, you know, stabbing Graham in the head with a diamond sword, because what else do you do? There's the one where I insulted Britain. There's the one where one of the guys on stream had a real rough time on the toilet. That was a great session. This is all just one session, and there's so many distinctive areas. Like every 30 minutes, which was great because that's like the intervals that I would edit. Every 30 minutes, it just had a new thing that was distinctive and hilarious. And then we did like Kermit the Frog and Elmo imitations. And then this one where we were just sitting and chatting, and I happened to have some sticky buns on the day that I made this thumbnail. Also, this pose is made for this thumbnail specifically. We had sticky buns, well, pull apart cake, and I had hot chocolate in a mug, and I was just feeling so cozy. So I thought, hey, that's a cute picture to put up for there, because it's just sitting and chatting in Minecraft. And I think that's fun. Fall Guys as a series surprised me. I expected it to do way better than it did, and it did not deliver. It was a really fun session. I think it was really funny. I think the stuff that happened was really funny. I think we did great as YouTubers. But there was another episode that I was gonna make, but folks were just not into it. I mean, it was a fad game, obviously, but no, people just weren't as interested as I thought they would be. But I still loved my time. Sam, I love you, boo. Also, Calamity and Ace. It was during that session that I had to come to terms with the fact that Ace was a furry. I could deny it no longer. I think my Among Us thumbnails, though, are among my favorites. As the series went on, it all got more and more violent. Oh yeah, that's the time where I had to sadly kill Sam, even though we were really buddy-buddy that round. The time everybody was like hating on me, the time that like Shawston just got butchered the whole game. These are super fun to make because it was super easy. Because all of the characters are like primary colors, their shapes are distinctive. It's just so easy to muck around with them. Oh yeah, and the Ballad of Gay Carrot. That was a fun series to edit. That was a really fun series to edit. I really enjoyed that. Carrot, if you're out there, don't come near me. You seemed like a strange little boy. Oh yeah, and the time Max went on a murder spree, and the time apparently I got a chainsaw through the neck. Oh yeah, the time I went on a murder spree. And actually, it was interesting, this one here, because this was Lainey's husband, I believe. That was his character. He dressed as a policeman, and it was really fun. However, it was around the time this video came out that the whole George Floyd thing was blowing up. And I thought, I do want to have Lainey's husband beating the crap out of me. However, that would be culturally insensitive at this moment. So instead, I very distinctively chose to have no violence in this picture because I knew it would feature a policeman. Instead, he's giving me a rose. Also, I think Lainey's husband is such a sweetheart. I haven't met him really before, but from all the interactions I've had with him and all the things Lainey has said, he seems like an absolute sweetheart, so I wouldn't put this past him. But yeah, that's another thing to think about with your thumbnails and just videos in general. I mean, don't be an idiot. Don't, be aware of the cultural sensitivities that are surrounding you at any given time, because you don't want to get lobbed in. This YouTuber had a policeman beating a guy in a suit on his thumbnail. What a... it's important to be mindful. I know that my platform's not huge, but I like to think that I put more emphasis on being mindful than a lot of really big YouTubers. So as long as I'm not the worst, I should be fine. Try always to be respectful of the world around you. Oh yeah, and the time that Aaron hunted me and Sam down, and we cried like little babies. Honestly, I would go through the playlist of Among Us videos just to see all the thumbnails in action, because they are marvelous, I think. Also because I think there's a lot of funny bits in that series, so yeah, I think it's cool. Creeks. If you've been on the channel for a little while, you remember this series. The Creeks series was Creeks was a really great puzzle game. It was really wholesome and fun. I really enjoyed it. I wonder if my series holds up at all. What I wanted to do with these thumbnails was to really capture the beauty of the game, because the game is beautifully illustrated. I wanted to use the game's own set pieces as thumbnails. And for the first two thumbnails, that works perfectly. Like, this is such a storytelling shot right there. And actually, let me get bigger on that. This is such a storytelling shot right here. And it's a picture of the inciting incident in the game. That one works super simple. This one was really good because it was a large object in the center that was sort of a focal point. I thought it was really pretty. And it was after that a lot of them sort of fell apart. In that there's no clear focal points in a lot of them. This one's all right. I probably could have zoomed in a bit more. And this one's good. That was sort of just the ending. First two and the last two were good because they had distinctive set pieces that I could screenshot. But as for the in-betweens, I think I could have made it better just by zooming in more. Like, it doesn't, like this picture here, I wanted to capture sort of the majesty of this, but I couldn't because the thumbnail's 2 centimeters wide. You can't do much with that. So it would have been better if I zoomed in on him, on the thing here, or just found something smaller to focus in on. Because like this, that's, even from this size and distance, which is way bigger than a thumbnail usually is, it's too much. It's just too wide. It's too grand. There's nothing that I can zero in on, which makes them like, you know, less appealing, less clickable, if I want to use the buzzwords. Gotta get those CPMs up, my boy. I think just in terms of composition, I think I could have done better, but hey, now you know about the Creek series if you didn't already. It's worth watching, maybe. I don't know. Did I still have a beard back then? Kind of my cutoff for when my quality improved was when I lost the beard. That's when my stuff became primo content. I hate calling it content. Let's make some content. The last things we're gonna look at are the Doom thumbnails, because boy howdy did I make a lot of them. My whole approach with Doom, I did actually find, Kieran, throw up the chart now, whoop-pow. I did find a chart of all the Doom villains that I used, and I cut it out because surprisingly I couldn't find any PNGs of any of these characters. I could find them of the new Doom characters, but none of these guys, which I thought was weird. So my basic ideas for the Doom thumbnails is I actually wanted to have an experiment of how many times I could use the same pose and make a distinctive thumbnail. And so I kind of divided it up into chapters, and then I changed it up towards the end as things got a little more like, oh, you know, it's a little more special. We're coming to the close. So for the first one, just different gun, different enemy, you know, different weapon, different enemy, and that's the first chapter of the game. Second one was no weapons, but I just had myself looking off into the distance, and then I had different enemies and different wounds was what I varied it with. So I'd go through, actually, I look so emo from a distance on this one. But yeah, I got a little bit of blood there, a scar there, a bullet hole in my neck. And then I have, you know, the eye patch, classic eye patch. Oh, and I have a little scar on my jaw. Oh, and I have a shot in my arm. But this one, I think, was the really cool one. This part doesn't look really good up close, but at a distance, it looks all right. This was, at the time, and even maybe to this day, this is the most violent thumbnail that I've made. And in some ways the most labor intensive. I had to, you know, I cut out my hair, I cut out my pupils, and then, you wanna know what this is? This color palette right here? That's just the color of under my eyes. That's just what my eyes are. I just smeared that over. That's just the color of my bags. And you know, I was like, oh, it doesn't make sense if my hair is on fire and like I'm blinded and my skin is burning and smearing away, and my shoulder was fine. So I just decided, actually, I felt really good about this. I just took like a few different shades of red and sort of my skin tone, and then I just kind of smudged them over each other to sort of create the effect that the clothing is burned away at that point, and also my skin is burning away. I was very proud of that when I did it, and I think even just as its own aspect, it has such cool texture. I think it's actually artistic. But yeah, at a distance here, you can see like it's kind of harder to tell exactly where it cuts off, you know. Not, if you look for it, you can see it at a glance, which is what a lot of thumbnails you see and you click. That's all that it really comes down to. I think that works for what I wanted to do. And then of course, you know, I changed it up a little bit. Down here, game glitches out, and big brain, my brain is cracking and bleeding out because I'm so smart. And this is also where I really kind of honed my violence in my thumbnails, because Doom's a very bloody, violent game. It was considered the most violent, I think, at the time. So I was like, okay, I have free reign to be as violent as possible. Oh my gosh, I forgot about this one. And this one, that's a cut PNG. That's supposed to be cut skin that I just made big and then sort of molded it to my shoulder to look like burned flesh, and it worked really good. Also, look at my melodramatic boy. Such a sweetie. That was basically my thing, is just show the demons in thumbnails, show blood, show violence, because that's basically what Doom is. And then Doom 2 came along in 24 episodes. Goodness gracious. And I got a little more creative. Honestly, to be quite honest with you, I got a little bit more creative with it all. I have me rising back up to take up the super shotgun Doom mantle. I have, you know, a ball of fire coming through my chest from that dude whose name I totally remember. All these, like, tons of different weapons puncturing into me. Hold on. Oh yeah, I'm holding a knife, I see. Like all these different weapons punching in a knife or an axe in my shoulder. Me ripping apart a pain elemental sword through the chin. Me in goggles getting shot with an arrow. Me ripping a dude in half with a big beard for some reason. Well, let me look at that. Yeah, just look at that. Such a goopy mess. Goodness gracious. And I have my scar because I'm a cool kid. Yeah, ripping dudes in half and exploding from his chest with a scar. Just Naruto running through a dude's stomach. That's funny. Here's me getting engulfed in flames, probably because of the cyber demon in the background here. Just me exploding and disappearing. Oh yeah, and this was the time where I actually rage quitted the game partway through. Because I couldn't handle it anymore. So I have everybody's like, bro, are you okay? I think that's funny. And then for the end of the Doom, because I knew this was going to be the end of all the pixel Doom games that I played, I tried to incorporate as many Doom sprites as I possibly could. Of course, with the main dude, and then me with a sword and chainsaw, because I'm so cool. And yeah, that was what I decided to be the end. I wanted it to be special and to show all that we came from. And now we're here. So yeah. That's all my thumbnails. And I guess, aside from the ones that I still need to post with their videos, I'm gonna be deleting a good bunch of them. I'm probably gonna be removing this entire lower half. Absolutely. Large chunks of the upper bit. Yeah, it's time for them to go. But man, what a wild ride since and before I made them. Well, I am thoroughly shocked at how much sheer information I had to drop about thumbnails. I was worried I wasn't going to have anything to say, and I just couldn't stop talking. That was actually kind of nice. Thank you for being here for it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this video, leave a like. If you have any questions about thumbnails, since I'm apparently an expert, ask me questions. If there's anything you want to know. Questions about anything in YouTube, really. I'm open to talking about it. Also, I really, really want to do more vlogs. I really want to do more vlogs, but I don't know what to talk about. I have a few things that are lined up that I want to talk about, but they're also very serious subject matters, and I want to have something that I can be light and jovial with, you know what I mean? So, what do you want me to vlog about? Day in the life of Kieran? Would you like me to show you how to do the one of my many talents? Tell me what you want to see, and I'll see if I can show it to you. If you like this video, leave a like, leave a comment. If you like this video, leave a like, comment, anything you have. Questions, thoughts, favorite songs, whatever you got, babu. And if you'd like to help me make people happy for a living and make 503 more thumbnails, then please subscribe to the channel. But of course, as always, I love you. And I hope you have a wonderful day.